If you have diabetes and you are eating eggs, stop right there. Not because eggs are bad for you. They are not. Eggs might actually be one of the most powerful foods you can eat to help manage your blood sugar. But there is a very specific way to eat them that works. And there is a way most people with diabetes are eating them right now that is quietly making things worse. And they have no idea. I have been a cardiologist for decades, and in cardiology, blood sugar is not a separate issue. Unstable glucose is one of the leading drivers of heart disease. So when hundreds of my diabetic patients switched to eggs for breakfast and came back a month later with numbers that had barely moved, I had to find out exactly why. For my patients, getting this wrong is not just about energy, it is about their heart. And every single time when I asked them to walk me through exactly how they were eating those eggs, I found the same mistakes. Not one mistake, the same cluster of mistakes over and over. Here's the thing, the egg itself is nearly perfect for blood sugar. But what you eat alongside it, what you cook it in, what you drink with it, and even what time you eat it, all of that determines whether those eggs are actually healing your metabolism or just sitting there doing very little while the rest of your breakfast undoes everything. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to eat eggs correctly if you have diabetes. Not just whether to eat them, how the preparation, the pairing, the timing, and the combinations that turn a simple egg into one of the most effective blood sugar tools you have available to you every single morning. Stay with me, because by the end of this, your breakfast is going to look very different, and your numbers, your energy, and the way you feel by mid-morning are going to start telling you that something has finally shifted. Now, I want you to drop your age and country in the comments right now. I want to know who's watching this. It genuinely shapes what I make next. Before we get into the how, I want to make sure you understand the why. Because when you understand what is actually happening inside your body, the instructions stop feeling like rules you have to follow and start feeling like things that just make obvious sense. Here's what diabetes does to your blood sugar response. When you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into glucose and releases them into your bloodstream. In a healthy metabolism, insulin comes in quickly, picks up that glucose, and delivers it to your cells for energy. Clean, efficient, controlled. But with type 2 diabetes, that insulin response is either too slow, too weak, or your cells have become resistant to it. So the glucose sits in your blood longer than it should. It builds up, and over time, those repeated buildups cause damage to your blood vessels, your kidneys, your nerves, and your eyes. This is why what you eat for breakfast matters so much more for a diabetic than for someone without the condition. Your system is already working with a handicap. Every food decision either helps compensate for that handicap or makes it worse. Eggs compensate beautifully. Here is why. An whole egg contains almost zero carbohydrates. There is essentially nothing in an egg that your body converts to glucose. The egg is made of protein and fat, two macronutrients that digest slowly, that do not spike your blood sugar, and that actually help slow down the digestion of anything else you eat alongside them. This is called the protein buffer effect. When protein is present in your stomach at the same time as other foods, it physically slows the rate at which sugar from those foods enters your bloodstream. It acts as a natural brake. So even if there are some carbohydrates in your meal, the presence of egg protein means they hit your blood more slowly and more manageably. Clinical studies have shown that diabetic patients who eat a protein-forward breakfast show measurably better glucose control, not just in the morning, but for the rest of the entire day. One meal, one decision, and it sets the metabolic tone for everything that follows. But, and this is the part most people miss, none of that works if you get the surrounding details wrong. So, let's talk about exactly what correct looks like. The first thing I want to address is how you are cooking your eggs, because the cooking method matters more than most people think. The best preparations for blood sugar are boiled, poached, or lightly scrambled with a small amount of healthy fat. These methods keep the egg intact, preserve the protein structure, and do not add anything that interferes with the metabolic benefit. Boiled eggs are my personal favorite recommendation for diabetic patients, especially those who are busy in the morning. You can boil 6 eggs on Sunday evening, store them in the fridge, and have a zero-effort high-protein breakfast ready every single morning for the rest of the week. No cooking, no cleanup. You peel it, you eat it, you are done. Poached eggs are excellent too. No added fat required. The egg holds together in hot water, the protein stays intact, and you get all the benefit with nothing unnecessary added. Lightly scrambled is fine, but here is where the first mistake usually happens. Most people scramble their eggs in butter or oil, which is not a problem by itself. Butter in moderate amounts is actually fine. A drizzle of olive oil is fine. The problem is what they add into the scramble: milk, cream, sometimes cheese on top. The milk and cream add carbohydrates. The processed cheese often contains additives and fillers. None of it is catastrophic in small quantities, but it starts to erode the clean blood sugar response you are trying to create. Keep your scrambled eggs simple. Egg, a small amount of olive oil or butter, salt, pepper. That is your base. That is what works. What you absolutely want to avoid is frying your eggs in large amounts of vegetable oil or eating them as part of a fried breakfast with processed meats, baked beans, and white toast. I see this all the time. Someone tells me they eat eggs every morning. What they mean is they eat a full cooked breakfast every morning, and the eggs are sitting in the middle of a plate surrounded by things that are spiking their blood sugar from every direction, while the eggs try desperately to compensate. The egg cannot save a bad breakfast. It can enhance a good one. Drop a comment below and tell me, how do you usually cook your eggs in the morning? Boiled, scrambled, fried? I genuinely want to know what you're working with so I can give you the most relevant advice. This is the section that changes everything for most of my patients because the egg on its own is good, but the egg in the right combination is extraordinary. I want to introduce you to what I call the 3-gate method. 3 specific categories of food that, when eaten, together with your eggs, create a layered wall of blood sugar protection that keeps your glucose stable, your energy consistent, and your hunger quiet for 3 to 4 hours after breakfast. Gate 1 is your protein, that is your eggs. 2 whole eggs is the right starting point for most people. If you're very active or you find yourself hungry again within 2 hours, move to 3. The protein controls the pace at which everything digests. Gate 2 is fiber. This is the one most diabetic patients are missing entirely. A handful of spinach, some sliced tomatoes, sautéed mushrooms, roasted carrot, even leftover broccoli or green beans from the night before. It doesn't need to be complicated or exotic. It just needs to be real vegetables. Here is what the fiber is doing. When fiber is present in your digestive system alongside protein, it creates a physical buffer in your stomach. It slows the movement of food. It delays gastric emptying. It builds a second line of defense that makes it even harder for sugar to rush into your bloodstream. The protein is slowing things down. The fiber is slowing them down further. Together, they are giving your insulin response, which is already slow or impaired, the extra time it needs to do its job. Gate 3 is healthy fat. Half an avocado on the side, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil over your eggs and vegetables, a small handful of walnuts or almonds. Healthy fat prolongs gastric emptying even further. It keeps the contents of your stomach moving slowly for longer. When you add this third layer on top of protein and fiber, you are stacking 3 separate mechanisms of blood sugar control in a single meal. Protein slows the pace. Fiber builds the buffer. Fat extends the window. That is the 3-gate method. And the beautiful thing about it is that it does not require you to count anything, weigh anything, or follow a complicated plan. It's just eggs, vegetables, healthy fat every morning. Now, I want to be very clear about what does not belong there. Toast does not belong there. I know that feels harsh. I know breakfast without toast feels incomplete to a lot of people. But even whole grain toast digests faster than vegetables. It will raise your blood sugar. The eggs will slow it down slightly, but they cannot cancel it. You're taking one step forward and one step back every single morning you add that bread. Swap the toast for mushrooms. Swap it for tomatoes. Swap it for wilted spinach. Your blood sugar will thank you within the first 3 days. Orange juice does not belong there either. When you juice a fruit, you remove every gram of fiber, and what you're left with is liquid sugar that hits your bloodstream almost as fast as a soft drink. If you want fruit in the morning, eat the whole orange. The fiber in the whole fruit is the entire reason it's acceptable. Without the fiber, you've lost the protection completely. Has anyone ever told you that your healthy breakfast was actually working against you? Have you been eating toast and orange juice with your eggs thinking you were doing the right thing? You're not alone. Drop a yes below and let me know. I want to talk about something that almost nobody discusses when they give breakfast advice for diabetics, and that is timing. Here's what's happening inside you every single morning before you take a single bite. While you were asleep, your liver was slowly releasing stored sugar into your bloodstream to keep your brain and your organs functioning through the night. Then, as your body prepares to wake up, it releases a wave of cortisol, your natural waking hormone. Cortisol is not a bad thing. It is what makes you feel alert and ready to face the day. But cortisol also nudges your blood sugar upward as part of that wake-up process. This is called the dawn phenomenon. And for diabetics, it is particularly significant because your blood sugar is already elevated or already poorly regulated. And then the dawn effect pushes it higher still before you have even eaten anything. So by the time you sit down to eat, your blood sugar is already primed. It is already at a higher baseline than it was in the middle of the night. This means 2 things for how you eat your eggs. First, do not skip breakfast. Skipping breakfast when you are diabetic and your blood sugar is already elevated from the dawn effect does not help. It leaves your blood in an unstable state with nothing to moderate it. And by mid-morning, the hunger hits hard, and almost everyone ends up reaching for something high in sugar or refined carbohydrates because their body is in emergency refueling mode. That swing makes everything worse. Second, eat your eggs before your coffee. I know that feels backwards for a lot of people. Coffee is the first thing always, but caffeine on an empty stomach amplifies that cortisol spike. It pushes your morning blood sugar even higher before you've had anything to cushion it. Eating your eggs first, even just a couple of bites, gives your system a buffer before the caffeine arrives. It's a small adjustment. It takes no extra time. And for many of my patients, it makes a noticeable difference in their morning numbers. I want to take a moment away from blood sugar specifically and talk about something that motivates a lot of my patients just as much, and that's what eggs do for your brain. Eggs are one of the single richest natural sources of a nutrient called choline. Most people have never heard of choline. It doesn't get the attention that vitamin D or omega-3s get, but your brain uses choline to produce acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that's directly responsible for memory, focus, and the ability to think clearly. When you wake up after 7 or 8 hours of fasting, your brain is in a mildly depleted state. It needs building blocks to fire properly. A high carbohydrate breakfast gives your brain a quick burst of glucose, followed by a crash. That crash is the 10 o'clock fog, the inability to concentrate, the feeling that your thoughts are slightly behind where they should be. But when you start your day with eggs, you are giving your brain stable, slow-release energy and a meaningful dose of choline at the exact moment it needs them most. The difference in mental clarity that my patients report, sometimes within the first 3 or 4 days, is one of the most consistent things I hear. They describe it as sharpness they had not felt in years. Not from a supplement, not from anything complicated, from eggs and vegetables for breakfast. For a diabetic, this matters even more because chronically elevated blood sugar is one of the known contributors to cognitive decline over time. Managing your glucose well protects your brain, and the choline in eggs supports it directly. Those two things together make eggs one of the most complete brain and blood sugar foods available to you. Once your 3-gate breakfast is in place, there are a few additional habits that can amplify what the eggs are already doing, and every one of them costs nothing. Walk for 10 minutes after eating. Your muscles are the largest glucose disposal system in your body. When you move after a meal, even a gentle walk around the block, your muscles pull sugar directly out of your bloodstream and use it as fuel. Research shows that a short walk after breakfast produces a measurably lower post-meal glucose spike compared to sitting still. 10 minutes. That is all it takes. Eat slowly and without distraction. The same meal eaten in 3 minutes versus 15 minutes produces a different blood sugar response. When you eat quickly, your body does not have time to send the proper fullness and digestion signals. Slowing down, putting the phone away, sitting at a table, actually chewing changes the way your body processes the food. It sounds almost too simple to matter. It does matter. Protect your sleep. Sleep deprivation makes your cells less sensitive to insulin. If you are doing everything right with your breakfast, but your sleep is poor, you will still see elevated morning numbers. The two are directly connected. While you work on your breakfast, work on your sleep, too. They are not separate problems. Let me bring everything together for you. Eating eggs correctly with diabetes is not just about eating eggs. It's about understanding that the egg is the foundation and what you build around it determines everything. Cook them simply, boiled, poached, or lightly scrambled without the extras. Pair them with fiber from real vegetables and healthy fat from avocado or olive oil. Remove the toast, remove the juice, eat before your coffee, walk for 10 minutes after. Do that consistently, and you are not just managing your blood sugar, you're giving your body a genuine fighting chance every single morning. I want to challenge you to try this for 7 days. Not forever, just 7 days. Change nothing. Else, only your breakfast. By day 3 or 4, the mid-morning fog starts to lift. The hunger between breakfast and lunch gets quieter. The cravings for something sweet after eating begin to fade. By day 7, most of my patients tell me they feel like a different person in the mornings. Your body is not broken. It's responding to what you give it. When you give it the right signal, it responds with the right result. Before you go, is there someone in your life right now, a husband, a wife, a parent, a close friend who has diabetes and is still starting every morning with cereal or toast and wondering why their numbers will not come down? Please share this video with them today. You don't need to say anything. Just send it. You might be the reason their mornings finally change, and if this reached you at the right moment, if something I said today was the piece that finally made it click, help Dr. Sarah reach 1,000 subscribers because this is exactly what 1,000 people need to hear. Take care of yourself.